Hi, I'm John Pitts. I'm the head of policy with Plaid, the largest data network in North America.
Hi, and I'm Bruce Schilder, Open Banking Lead in North America for Accenture.
Bruce, you and I were in DC together recently, and I remember we had a great conversation about sort of the perception that open banking and open finance is something that is just for fintechs. And one of the things we were arguing, I think, in the same direction with each other, is that actually it's great for banks as well. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit of, and just remind me, why do you think open banking is so good for both fintechs and for banks?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a great conversation at FDX in DC. I think open banking is becoming a lot more popular in North America because of this regulation, but it's been around for 20 years just from an innovative perspective, and not so much with regards to fintechs. Mostly what we do is help our financial institution clients understand how to protect and share their customers' data, and that's nothing new. But fintechs are really driving some of the innovative use cases that the banks can take advantage of. So it's really a symbiotic relationship, and you really can't have one without the other.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm struck by, and I'm glad you talked about that sort of 20-year history, is how many companies are already involved in open banking today. But more importantly, how many are waiting on the sidelines until they have some degree of certainty about what the market's going to look like before they jump in. And my sense right now, I don't know if you agree with this, is that there are actually thousands of companies that don't necessarily think of themselves as fintechs. They might think of themselves as a retailer or a rental company or like a tractor manufacturer that once open banking regulations are here, are likely to jump in and jump in with both feet to do some of the innovation that fintechs, as you said, have been driving, but the rest of the market has been looking to catch up to. One of the concerns I have, if you do agree with that framing, is making sure that a company doesn't get left behind. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what you think the dynamics are going to be for companies once open banking is here, taking advantage of it and making sure that they are leaders of innovation and not followers.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I wholeheartedly agree. I think the days of open banking being synonymous with banking as a service are over. There's a lot more to it than that. And I think we're already starting to move beyond open banking, the practice of sharing data between financial institutions to open finance, true cross-industry use cases into insurance, into capital markets, and even other areas. But then we're going to move into open data.
Yeah.
And embedded finance is going to become part of our daily lives. It already is to a large extent. But as we move into open data, it's going to be beyond just cross FS industry, and it's going to be into your daily lives and into everything that you do. The more that we share data, the more convenient that our lives will become, and the less we will rely on a single financial institution. And you could do that two ways, right? You can embed fintech services within a banking application, or you could do the inverse. And you could have banking services in another application like a social media application. We've seen that in other geographies. It hasn't really happened here in the US, but certainly think some of the most innovative thought leaders in the country are working towards that.
So, one of the things that you said that I think resonates a lot with me is the more we share our financial data, the easier that makes our lives and the more opportunities we have as consumers. I'm actually seeing that right now with different FIs, where the ones that are the furthest ahead on safely sharing and allowing their customers to share their data actually are creating better, deeper relationships with their customers. Even though their customers might be using some apps to get certain financial services, they're increasingly thinking about the account where they're sharing their data as the hub of their financial life. The next opportunity I see, though, is for those hubs to start ingesting data from other places and giving that customer an even richer experience. How are you talking about this with your clients?
I think customers are not going to link their data to multiple financial institutions. There might be a few edge cases where they might do that. Let's say a consumer focused portfolio versus investment portfolio, but those are also kind of converging. And I think you're going to link most of your data to your primary financial institution, and your primary financial institution needs to have that capability. So those that don't enable data aggregation in a very secure and very efficient manner are really going to lose market share. But the regulation that is upon us, Dodd-Frank 1033, is going to force all 5,000 financial institutions in North America to start sharing data. And I think there's two groups, the leaders and the laggards. Everybody is starting to wake up to the fact that this is not really just a convenience or a strategic play anymore. It's something that you have to do, of course, because of the regulation. But that is narrow thinking, right? If you can get ahead of this and start extracting value from the capabilities that you're building and the investments that you're making, you're going to have a really great experience for your customers. You're going to have richer data set. And really, I think whether you're a leader or a laggard, there's more to be done. Nobody is done with this journey. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There'll be further iterations of the regulation. There'll also be new use cases that need to be discussed. And we've seen FTX kind of leading the way with over now 250 participants across North America. And the ideas coming out of these sessions are nothing short of fantastic. So I really think we're just on the edge here, and there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, early innings for sure. And you talked about it before, but I just want to reiterate it, that progression from open banking to open finance to embedded finance. I have a couple of my favorite use cases that I think are going to get unlocked over the next couple of years. My personal favorite is the idea for sort of on-time, low-cost credit, where instead of applying for a loan, you can be in the process of a commercial interaction and need a little bit more money, and your bank has enough information about you across your entire financial profile to say, hey, we can give you a low-cost loan for this right now. There's no application, there's no effort that goes into it, and we can do it at the point of sale. I think that's one of the things that seems like science fiction that gets unlocked by open banking, open finance, and ultimately embedded finance. I wonder if you've got a favorite thing that you see ahead in that progression as we relentlessly move forward here.
I actually do find a lot of our financial institutions are looking at lending scenarios. It's timely, but it's also a very powerful use case. The lending application is very tedious process and very repetitive. I would say your use case there is very interesting. You know, just in time predictive lending offers would be fantastic. Haven't really seen too much of that yet, but we are seeing a lot of second look underwriting, leveraging alternative data sources to look at a customer's either credit score or portfolio from beyond just FICO, right? Instead of using this one singular number that's very narrow, looking at the entire transaction set, the entire data set, and really trying to approve more loans, but de-risk the situation. So I think that's extremely interesting. Another one is pay by bank.
Yeah.
And in payments isn't really the focus of this regulation or really even open banking in the US, but it has been in the global setting with PSD2 and now coming PSD3. It's all been focused around interoperable payments. We're, I think, taking a little bit of a different path, but we're taking a more broad look at interoperable interfaces. So we can share data with anybody, anytime, anywhere, for any purpose, as long as it's permissioned by the consumer. And that is the ultimate purpose here of the regulation, is to solidify the fact that the financial institutions do not own this data. We, as consumers, own the data. If I want to send it from one financial institution to the other or to a fintech for my own convenience, I should be able to do that. But not just to aggregate or share data. It should be to drive convenience for me. Otherwise, there's no point in me doing it. So I think we all need to think about how that changes the dynamic. I've had a long history in project management and building digital channels. So beyond open banking, just building applications for us to use in our daily lives, online mobile banking. And every time that we want to differentiate ourselves or we want to help a client differentiate themselves, we need to look at fintech solutions. And often that results in a lengthy project to build new APIs, new interfaces, and new data models. And this is going to streamline that. There might be an upfront investment to get to compliance or to get to this proactive state of having a standard set of APIs for data sharing. But in the long term, it's actually going to save us a lot more time and a lot of money. We can launch products faster. We can do it with ease, with less risk. And when a fintech wants to demonstrate their products for a bank, they're not going to do it in slides anymore. They're going to hook right into that developer portal and they're going to say, I signed up yesterday and my application is already running with your APIs. Have a look. So it's like a whole new world for banks to make decisions on these new capabilities.
That's an unbelievable vision of what things can look like in literally just a few years. I hope everyone's getting ready for it. Bruce, great to talk to you as always. Looking forward to the next time we can meet up in DC.
Thanks, Johnny.